moderately during the period.
Not in the conclusion. So actually, yeah, maybe we could say maybe over the whole time there was a decrease. But what does it mean? We say like.
In conclusion, people have more knowledge about protecting the environment.
Excellent. So you could say this shows us that now people, yeah, you could say something like people have more knowledge about protecting the environment. So if you can think of a really clever idea where you think this is what it shows, then it will get you extra points. If you just write something very general like, we can see that it fell over 11 years, that's okay. But this is just a way to make it even better. Maybe you could say, perhaps the government introduced some laws to stop people throwing waste in the river. Now, so this is where we kind of really think, not just about the numbers, but what could the story behind these numbers be? Now, one thing important to remember, only do this in the last sentence. Most of the time you should just be talking about numbers, just about what's on the graph. Does that help explain? Yeah. Anything else? Any more questions? So do you mean generally or just for this one? For this one, I wouldn't say fluctuate because although it goes up a bit here, it's really it's something you can do to help you think. Is take the beginning and the end and kind of go like this. And think, if I drew one line from the start to the end point, is there much change from this line? And there's not much change. Whereas if you had, say, this, and then we did that, here you'd say more of a fluctuation because it changes up and down. So
in this graph, what we can say in second sentence?
For which one?
The
first or which graph? The top one.
But
Alright, what do you think?
I think it's fell moderately.
Moderately? No. I would say not moderately, because moderately just shows us up and down. And moderately is not that big. So I would say it fell, I think we need a stronger adverb. Fell
dramatically.
Fell dramatically, yeah, because this is a very big change from here to here. You could say fell dramatically.
And second.
The second one? In sentence 2 for this one, what do you think you should talk about?
Moderately or slightly.
For this one? No,
I think slowly.
I'd say for this one, your second sentence should talk about fluctuation, because this is a very big change in the middle. So this is, you know, lots of you did really good sentences where you say this was, so here are some numbers. What would you say is sentence 2 here?
What
What would you say is sentence 2? Or this one? What numbers would you use? 2 and 10. Yeah. So maybe you could say between 2001 and 2011 it fluctuated from a high of 10 in 2004 to a low of 2 in 2006, something like that.
In second class, we talk the overall.
For this one? Yeah, another way you could talk overall, you could even say something like, over this time period, remember we always need to start with something like, that shows us the whole graph. Over the time period, there were big changes. There were big changes over the time period, though there wasn't a big change from the start to the finish. Because this, again, it's just telling us that it goes up and down a lot in the middle. I think your second sentence just has to show us somehow it goes up and down a lot. Now, the easiest way to do this is to use the verb fluctuate, because there isn't really another word that has the same meaning. So, but I know from marking your homework, most of you did really good sentences with fluctuate. So, you know, I know that you know how to do this.
Good job. And that's the second sentence. Well, we can say sale of coffee was the same in January and December.
I wouldn't say that as your first sentence, because if you say sales of coffee was the same in January and December, you're only talking about this and this. You could say sales of coffee was the same in January and December, however, in between this time it fell and then rose again. But I think for this one, if you, in your overall sentence, you really need to think there was a fall and then there was a rise. This is what you need to say. So you could say it was the same in January and December if you say there was a fall and a rise. But if you just say, why are you always picking up
Scandal. Scandal is class. Here.
Like children.
Keep now.
I wouldn't say fluctuate, because it's really one rise that doesn't change much and then another. Fluctuate means it needs to be a little bit more unpredictable, a little bit more change. Yeah, I think a good way to know, if you can see that it generally, like this one, the graph changes a bit, but generally it's always going in the same direction. Now, this one, you can just break that graph. Although the speed where it's going down changes, really this is not so different. So I would think of this as too hard. In an overall sentence, I would say, for the first 6 months, sales of coffee fell, and for the second 6 months, they rose again. You could even say, reaching the same point at the end of the graph as at the beginning, but just basically saying, first 6 months it fell, second 6 months it rose, and then talk more about the exact details of how this all changed. Okay. Any more questions? No. Right. We will play a game now.
Before
Very well. Well, you shouldn't be allowed. I told you could have a 5-minute break if what? Wait. I said you would have a 5-minute break if what? If everyone was on time for class. Not everyone was on time for class. If you need to go to the restroom, you have 1 minute. Go very quickly.
Go.
Yêu với Liêu. Đi chồng, hỏi giảm giờ chạy ra được bộ.